was a court-mediated process that I have to take.
No, you said you would go file a class action lawsuit against
Because
me.
I have to. If this wasn't going to be a
Why?
restitution show, because I'm now in a custody situation
What does
because
that-
of the last
I'm
show.
not a party to your
Yeah, but you said you got
custody
100% custody because of it.
Well, I had to take 100% custody because after that situation, my ex escalated in his...
Yeah, but didn't that work out well for you?
No, because... Do you want to understand the situation?
Intel
or do you
Wild
just want to
donated
accuse me?
$100. Jesus, this chick is back crazy. Andrew, please call up the Santa Barbara PD and report the SA charge. Giant L to the University of Irvine.
Okay.
But I'm not going to do that if you apologize.
Apologize for what?
Battery.
I'm sorry
Sorry for what?
that I made you feel battered.
Oh, so, I mean, if that's the apology,
It's the same apology that you gave me.
but you said that was an unacceptable apology.
Well, you reap what you sow, so I'm not going to give you a more
Well, then,
sincere
if we're
apology
doing
than
you reap
gave
as
me.
you sow, and you don't want me to move over to Christian ethics, where I usually don't do eye for an eye, and I'm usually a pretty forgiving person, just let things go, right?
I'm sorry that I put my beautiful ass in your lap.
Ugh.
I'm really sorry that that made you uncomfortable.
Chris
I
donated
didn't mean to.
$100.
Nick, can you
Please
leave the
call
door open?
CPS and take her children away
No,
from her.
we're not
They
doing
should
all that.
play this entire podcast to the judge when deciding custody. I just left you a 1-star review on Amazon for her book. Everyone do it.
No, we're not gonna do shit like that. So the thing is, that's remarkably actually unhelpful in all ways. The thing is I would like to get into you in a social theory that I have, and I'd like to explain it to you and get your takes because you are the expert. Have you ever heard of what's called magic theory?
No.
Magic theory goes like this. This is considered a highly chauvinistic, I suppose, theory. I don't think it is. But essentially, if a woman cannot control you through sexuality, they move to manipulation. If they can't control you through manipulation, they move over to empathy. So these are mechanisms of control for...
That would be a mechanism of a sociopathic female, yes.
But haven't you demonstrated all of those traits today?
I would say I had to cycle through the toxic version of those things, and I arrived back on a genuine presentation of femininity.
But you started...
I have just been simply responding to your toxic masculinity that you've been putting on me. So I've been trauma responding with toxic femininity, yes. It's a protective measure.
So then you were acting in a way which you consider to be sociopathic?
No, because I wasn't being manipulative with my emotions, but I will admit to intentional aggression against you, yes. But my crying and when you touched points of me that made me cry, I wasn't trying to invoke any sort of empathy in you, as clearly you don't have any, and you've stated that many times, and you don't care how I feel.
I never stated
So that
I
was
don't
not
have
for
empathy.
you. That was just me trying to literally, in real time, process my own trauma so I could move forward with the conversation.
Well, you can agree that, and I would agree with you too, that empathy is important. But you would have to agree with me that sometimes people will utilize empathy as a weapon
True.
in order to get you to respond a certain
True.
way through manipulation.
True.
So when you say, well, wait a second, Andrew, respond to me this way, right? And I'm going to present myself this way, which looks very manipulative, and then say, well, wait a second, you're not responding with empathy, so therefore you're a sociopath, something like this. Isn't that kind of textbook manipulation?
Andrew, it can be whatever you need me to say to move along with the conversation. I consent so we can move along.
Okay, so you're just going to admit then that you've been being extremely manipulative this entire time?
Well, that's what you want, correct?
Well, I mean, I want you to tell the truth. That's
No-
what I want.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
I don't agree with you.
Well, I mean, so you can read my mind? I really do. This would have been a really productive conversation. You should go back and look at all of the debates I've done on here, one-on-one. They've always been super respectful, and they've really gone places which are good places to go. This one has just literally been a fucking.
Then
it
why are
hasn't
you
gone
still
anywhere.
here? Why are you still here talking
Because
to me?
I still think perhaps I can get to some kind of worldview which we can discuss. I can still hope that, whether we will or not. But if you're just going to obstruct every time we get somewhere, which is productive because you might have to take responsibility, that's no good.
So I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't.
No, you're just
because
damned if you don't. If you're damned if you refuse to engage, right?
Jorge donated $100. Let's be clear. She didn't win custody of her kids. She's holding them hostage from their dad.
Okay. Anyway. So yeah, that's I just, I want to get into the aspects because you're kind of a master, right? Doesn't it even stand to reason that if you're a master in psychology and you are an expert in psychology, that you would also be an expert in employing manipulation tactics and psychological tricks in order to get people to empathize with your position?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, if that's true, there's no reason for me to assume that you haven't been doing that.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I suppose also to Andrew's point, there's been multiple times throughout the conversation where we were talking about the white supremacy stuff, we were talking about your accusations of woman hating, and instead of engaging, you would just be like, nope, not talking about it, don't want to talk about it. So I think that's what he's talking about.
I'm trying to keep my nervous system regulated so I can keep having a conversation without crying.
Okay. All right. Well,
What is the? I know that you can't always explain this, but what is the motivation behind the crying? Is it because you feel bad?
It's because my heart feels broken in certain moments, and that's all I know how to move forward from that position, is to release it. If I try to hold on to it, it turns into something ugly. So crying is actually a protective measure to keep me from attacking you in a way that would be mean and malicious. I would rather just take in the pain, release it, and then see if I can regather myself to continue the conversation, or see if it's just done and I just need to leave.
Well, I think we can continue the conversation. Maybe we can get in a place where both of us have some common ground, right? I have kids, just like you do. With my kids...
Biological?
Yeah.
How
Biological.
How old are they?
So the youngest is, well, I don't even want to get into their ages, and there's reasons why, but because I have people who are not good people who will weaponize.
So you know how it feels.
Do all sorts of, I've never weaponized your kids against you ever.
No, I'm saying though, but that is what happened because of the last show,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm in a tough spot.
Yeah, I mean, I
Because
can't.
my kids got weaponized
but
because of the show.
But I can't, I'm not responsible for that.
I'm not saying that you are,
Yeah.
but I am saying that the places that you're leading me are subjecting me and thus my mothering to
Well, I'm not.
things that are very traumatic for my children.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to do that. That wasn't the example.
And I see the allowance of comments coming in still about my children, about CPS, about child abuse, about me being an. And I explicitly asked.
I get the same comments.
I understand that, but I am actually in a active case because of this exact
I've had
thing.
my house swatted 4 times.
Okay, I get it.
No, you don't get it. I've had my house swatted 4 times.
I've had my
the
house swatted
police-
too.
Had the police called on me multiple
Same.
times.
Same.
All for expressing an opinion just like you.
Same.
We're in the same boat. If you're going to be
Okay.
a public figure, you're going to risk offense. And if you risk offense, sometimes crazy people are going to do bad things to you.
That's not my criticism. My criticism is that I did not know that that's what I was getting myself into when I came to the last show. I did not know that that's what I was getting myself into. I genuinely didn't. I was under the impression that I was coming to a dating podcast just to discuss amongst other people like what's going on in the dating world. That's literally all I thought.
Why would you assume that people would be less likely to have strong emotional opinions about dating than they do anything else?
I guess I was sheltered. I didn't.
Yeah, people have strong emotional opinions about everything from politics to dating to interpersonal relationships. They have strong opinions about circumcision. They have strong opinions about everything. And if you don't have right think, there's always going to be people who disagree with you and are going to try to do bad things.
I feel as if the explicit animosity towards me as a mother and my children was very
It's not coming from
extreme.
us.
But
Not
you're the
coming from
ones.
us.
You're the ones that allow the comments or not.
They're third parties.
You remind people that there's certain trigger things and things that are so toxic you don't allow it. So therefore, I know you have a censoring process. Yet you're still letting these
They
comments
come in automatically.
So there's no censoring process.
So what happens is keywords which would affect the algorithm get censored. That's what he's talking about with toxic comments. So if so you notice how comments are coming through that have particular slurs which are quite vicious towards women, those get filtered out. But saying generalized statements like, "Oh, I think this woman is a bad mother," you can't really do much about those. If you're going to put yourself on the internet at all and put yourself as a public figure, you are going to risk offending people, and they are going to